Hey, Naj, I heard you saw a movie last weekend.
It was not last weekend. You are incorrect.
It was during the week.
No points for Bobber.
It was last weekend.
No, it was Tuesday.
Oh.
Tuesday's a weekend to me.
Yeah, I have a 2-day work week. So.
What 2 days?
Wednesday and Thursday.
There you go.
Isn't everyone?
Yeah, so Christopher, our last gracious host, who did those tech questions for us, he is a KCRW contributor, so he had
Fancy pants.
Shout out to KCRW.
Yeah,
and
that's our local
and
NPR.
KPCC. I'm not going to show any bias between the two.
Those are our local public radio stations. By the
And
way, to other listeners not from the LA area. Go.
it was like an interesting group of people too, because I guess everyone there was like a contributor or
Friend of a contributor.
But yeah, it was a movie about an Israeli lady. She's like 75 or something now. She's a lawyer that represents Palestinians.
It was a documentary, right?
Yeah, documentary. Some super fucked up things in the documentary that are
In
just
like criminal defense cases. I'm
yeah,
guessing.
exactly. And it followed her. It kind of followed her life, like her history and her past, and followed two cases that she was dealing with at the time of filming. And she was just like, I don't know, super lefty, but she was also kind of like doing this work that's obviously kind of crazy. You know, she's representing Palestinians.
Sure,
Everyone
yeah.
is against her all around her, and but she like has all this charisma and is like generally kind of like a funny, like happy, not even happy, but just like personable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just interesting.
What
like
was it called?
Advocate.
Okay.
Not to be confused with The Advocate, which is another movie.
Yeah.
I
About a
forget.
lawyer, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think so.
About an advocate.
But her Leah Tsamel or something like that. It's TSMEL, something like that. That's her name.
Wait, oh, that's her name. Oh.
Leah. Yeah, but it was good. Yeah, she has a lot of good quotes in the movie that were kind of just like, oh wow, that really encapsulates.
spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the kind of things that she's doing and the state of the place that she lives.
Let's hear some of them. Quote number 5.
I think I told you this one. It was like, what moral grounds do I have to stand on to judge the actions of the people that I occupy, or something like that. And then another one was
Number 4.
Number 4. No, this is a good one, and it's going to be
Countdown.
surprising to all of you, but this was a story that her husband, who's also like a Marxist left dude, met her at like a college rally, and she was like this woman with like this short skirt, and she had this sign, and she was yelling, and people were like yelling back at her because they didn't like what she was saying, and she just was yelling like,
Pick up on the
"Oh yeah, you want to fuck me? Why don't you fuck me with your tiny little dick, you little fucker?" and he was just like, "Oh my god, who is this woman?"
Okay,
She
we got
wants a
it.
tiny dick. She's perfect for me.
Here.
I got what you're looking for.
That's how we met.
But
That's
dude,
how I met your mother.
I've told you guys a couple of times, but
Oh,
like,
you gotta
kinda-
slap the parental discretion label on
yeah,
this
one will be rated R, at least rated PG-13. But I've been telling you guys about that show on HBO actually, which is
Talking
kind
about
of about a similar thing.
Our Boys.
Our Boys. Yeah. Have you been watching it? Or?
I watched one episode so far.
It's pretty good, but it's very sad in a lot of ways. But it's about like
Occupation.
Israel. Yeah, or just like generally that society and the culture, and I think like supposedly like Netanyahu wanted to like ban it or something from airing, but I mean like
Sounds like good old BB.
yeah, I mean like generally the thing is like there's
That guy's the worst.
to some extent there is like compassion and like in like the Jewish part of Israel or whatever for like the Arabs.
Right.
But there's like institutional things or whatever that kind of like, or like almost impossible for an individual to like break out of. But anyway, yeah, you guys should watch that too. After you watch The Advocate,
I mean,
Or just Advocate,
just Advocate.
just Advocate, yeah.
But just the like last little thing is like I guess it's like a 99% conviction rate, right? So she like loses all her cases,
And
but
she still does.
Yeah, and she's just constantly going to court,
Damn.
going to court, all the different courts, just
Yeah.
all day long. And but she did have one kind of big win. I think it was in the 99 or something, and it was to stop like torturous methods from like the police states that they had, and it was like this big moment. But then like now in the documentary where it's like today, she's like, yeah, that didn't end up really doing anything. Slowly they just started going back to torturing people.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, that's a good note too.
Well, we all saw a movie this weekend, right?
In
Besides
a way, yeah.
Naju this week, I mean.
Well, that'll be Naju's movie, yeah.
Mher, you wanted to talk about this one, which I finally watched, so we can talk about.
Oh yeah, let me get mine out of the way. I watched Idiocracy, which I never watched, and it was pretty funny, but not a ton to talk about. But I did finally get.
I thought it was funny. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen that movie.
Okay.
No,
it's worth seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, like didn't you see a lot of things that were like, okay, that kind of
it's prescient in a way. You would expect that to be a movie to come out after the Donald Trump presidency,
Seriously.
but it came out before. So
predicting the future, man.
which movie is this? The Idiocracy.
Yeah.
It's a Mike Judge, the Silicon Valley Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill dude.
The idea is it's a comedy. This guy like wakes up in the future. And
He's
it's
like cryogenically frozen or something.
Everyone's been like really like society has taken a dump in like smartness.
Okay.
Everybody's really
Yeah,
stupid.
well, one of the things was like the
President
in the-
Camacho.
in the montage of
favorite.
showing like what happened as time goes on is like all these like rich, well-educated people are like, oh, I don't know if it's time to have a kid yet. I don't think we're ready. And then it's like all these dumb people just fucking like crazy and like they're just reproducing like crazy, like way outnumbering.
Yeah,
so
Mike Judge
everyone,
is super
everyone is
into
just-
so
eugenics,
everyone
by the
just
way.
slowly becomes
Yeah, there was
stupider.
a little bit of like, well, just
Okay,
careful with what you're saying in a way, but like
it's
the
fun.
setup
It's a
was-
silly comedy.
Yeah, but
I
it's
mean,
a silly comedy,
I mean, really.
I think that was just the setup to set up like
Right.
the satire portion of
Let's say the science is shaky at best.
it. The movie was not peer reviewed.
Yeah, but I thought it was funny. It's worth a watch.
So he's like basically the smartest person in the world when he wakes up. He like slowly starts to realize that he's
Whereas he's like just a normal dude.
Luke Wilson.
Otherwise,
is the guy.
Is this a recent movie?
No,
No?
early
Okay.
2000s maybe.
Watch
What's
old
recent?
movies.
Yeah.
Or mid 2000s? I don't even know.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
think it
it's
was
like
mid-
pretty
2000s.
like it
2000s.
still
Early.
pops up like culturally a lot, and like I always hear about it popping up different parts of it
Because
So I
of
was like,
that,
all right, I should probably
that aspect of like
Fucking Donald Trump, a
slowly
reality
things
show host.
in that movie are like
becoming reality.
yeah. So it's
Yeah,
just
you
like
guys heard
keep
about-
calling back to it.
They're using Gatorade for plants now. It's a new thing.
No, dude, Powerade.
Powerade, hell yeah.
Yeah. What
Right,
did you guys
so
see, Bob? You saw the movie
It's
that
like
I
Get
told you to
Out,
finally
which
see.
Mher wants to
Seen it,
talk
Laura?
about.
Which Get Out?
Get Out.
Of course, I've
Yeah.
seen Get Out.
Yeah.
You just saw Get Out?
Yes.
he
I
just
saw it
saw
like
it too.
a couple weeks ago. I know.
Wow.
Dude, and the thing is, like, almost everybody that saw it was like, "Oh yeah, you should see it. It's really good." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll see it eventually," and it just kind of kept.
And then
slipping into,
eventually it happened.
So what happened?
Yeah.
You saw it?
Yeah, I did. I really liked it. Did you like it,
Yeah.
Bob? You just
I liked it. I mean, I didn't think it was like that crazy good or
No,
anything.
it's just a really like
I thought
good
it
movie
was,
to watch.
Pretty good. I enjoyed it. I don't know.
yeah.
I thought it was really funny that part. She's like, "Get him, Grandpa." That was my favorite part.
Yeah.
And it was like, yes,
You know, it was kind of weird.
good comic relief.
I think a part of the reason that I kind of like maybe didn't want to see it in the back of my mind was like, it's like framed as sort of like a horror film or whatever.
Well, you kinda-
But after you
that's-
watch, it's like, is this really a horror film? I mean,
Like,
I
what
don't-
else is
like,
it? I don't know what else it is.
Yeah, I don't know what it's kind of like satire in a way, right?
Right.
But that's not its own genre.
No, but it was kind of a good satire of that horror, I guess, especially the part where, for the first time ever in a movie like that, like the guy did all the right things that I would probably have done.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? He grabbed a weapon and he fucking went and immediately stabbed the dad. Like, no questions about
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I mean, like it
got
wasn't
into a
wasn't
car and
tropey at all.
ran,
Yeah, that was
you
that
know?
was a part of it. I was like, oh, horror movies generally, like, I guess they can be interesting or whatever, but like they're not actually like good movies usually. But maybe that was like my fault because afterwards I was like, oh, if like horror movies are generally this good, then maybe I should watch
Yeah.
more of them.
Man,
Huh.
it's not your fault.
It's not my fault.
No,
Whose
it's
fault?
not your fault.
It's a horror movie's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, but yeah, I liked it a lot more than I expected. I guess, but everybody was saying it was.
No, I
it was
guess
gonna
that's
be
the
good.
idea of those movies in general. People like it's more silly than scary, really. I don't know. I guess that's a part of it.
Yeah, but
where
this
you
was
really go into it.
Yeah.
it was pretty
yeah.
serious.
Yeah, that's why.
No, it was definitely pretty serious. But you're saying like there's tropes and there's
It's
satire. on
usually
those.
in satires though, like it's there's a lot
I
more
guess you're
comedic
making
relief,
fun
right?
of you're making fun of it.
Yeah, I mean,
This was like very serious for most of
it
the
was
movie.
serious, but it was like a serious satire though, because it's not really talking about what it's talking about. It's kind of
Right.
like talking about
symbolizing
a different thing,
something.
right?
For
Yeah,
sure.
it's like one giant like symbolism where it's kind of like, to me, it was like in a way like almost making fun of or whatever. Like, I don't know, that like type of like, you know, kind of like well-off liberal, like, oh,
Right.
not really a racist kind
Yeah.
of thing, you know?
Well, that's why I think maybe not silly, but there's definitely comedy worked into it in that
Oh, yes.
satirical
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
It's
Weird,
Jordan
man.
Peele, so
Yeah. The TSA agent
Weird, that
dude.
guy's
He's
funny.
Yeah, he
he's
was
like
pretty good. comic
comedic relief. Yeah.
But like I was never like in
Scared?
a way like scared or even like
Yeah,
kind
no.
of in other movies there's like suspense that builds in a way where you kind of get like worried or uneasy feeling or whatever. I don't know, what do you call that? I guess
Anxiety?
that's suspense, I
Anxious,
guess.
Yes,
anxious,
suspense,
yeah,
yeah.
suspense.
But I didn't really feel that in
You
this.
didn't feel that when Catherine Keener was having the conversation with him and he's sitting in the chair.
Yeah, I mean, it was suspenseful in a way, but it was like, it wasn't
I
like
kind of felt
sort
like,
of like a trick that it kept relying on, like a lot of movies
Right.
in that way would, you know?
like a jump scare or something.
Yeah, I
Those
mean, there
are,
was like a couple of, like with the grandma, there was a couple
Right.
of cases where they did that.
but some
but-
movies completely rely on the jump scare.
Yeah, and it's like the whole thing, and it's like, okay, after that happens a couple of times, you're like, all right, is this the entire movie? You know?
but it kind of seemed obvious from a certain point that they were all in on it. Like you
Yeah.
totally knew the girlfriend, everybody else. Put
Yeah.
slap a spoiler thing on this too.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think if a movie's more than like, let's say, a couple of years old, you can't really. It's up to the listener at that point to turn
This
it off.
movie is not more than a couple of years old.
Okay, well, just not related to our conversation. I was just saying something.
But yeah, spoiler alert. When we were talking about it earlier, about how the ending was, right, and how there's like a second ending
Yeah, yeah.
or whatever.
What's the second ending?
I didn't realize it was. I mean, the way I read it was that it was the original ending, and it went really bad for audiences.
Yeah.
So they changed it.
It's so weird because when I was watching the original ending of the regular movie, I was like, "Oh yeah, they got to do this," and then they didn't, and you know, it kind of ends on like sort of like a happy ending, and I was like, "All right, I can deal with that," you know, whatever.
I have no idea what you guys are
You
talking
know the
about.
regular ending, right? Like you
Well,
guys,
they've
there's-
seen the movie, so you know the ending where he's walking away from the
Sure, after the car and
yeah,
the road
and
and,
then
everything.
dude pulls
the
up,
car
right?
comes up.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the earlier cop.
Yeah, no,
it's,
it was some other
it was some cop. It really kind of put you in a situation where you thought it might be a cop
Yeah.
that would see him all bloody with fucking gun and shit like that.
Right.
And that was actually the
The
original
alternate
ending.
ending
The
was
original
that it
ending
was a cop
it
and
was
it
a
got
cop.
pinned on him and he goes to prison and stuff. But I don't know which one of those endings would have been like sort of more obvious in a
Yeah.
way. But that was definitely what I was expecting. I was like, oh, it's going to be a cop and they're going to play it off like he was the bad guy or whatever.
Yeah,
And it's gonna be
TSA
like
have
the whole-
fucking TSA drives cop cars
I don't
since
know.
when?
I guess like since that movie maybe.
Okay, I didn't see that ending.
Watch
So
the
I saw
alternate
the-
ending. It's way more brutal. Like it's just
Yeah.
like heart wrenching.
I think I would've-
But like I was expecting that. I was like, yeah, like fuck me up,
Yeah, dude, I think I would have liked that
My
a
favorite
little
drug.
more,
My
man.
favorite drug. Give it to me.
I feel like I would have liked that a little more. Like I don't know. At a certain point, you feel like there were always stakes. He was gonna get fucking brain imprisoned or whatever.
Yeah, he was gonna get fucked in some way or another. Yeah.
I mean, but I thought it was all right. Like I didn't think it was the best.
Really?
movie
I think
or,
I liked
like,
it
don't
more
know.
than you. I liked it a lot. I thought it was really smart.
I'm a dummy. So
It was like
I don't
a
know.
lot of social commentary and stuff.
Yeah, I thought that stuff was interesting, but
I think that's why it
But
got
I don't
such
think
a
it necessarily-
big reaction from people, right? Because maybe people were like, "Oh, it's maybe a horror movie that Jordan Peele made.
It's
Maybe
either
it's funny.
like
it's like
a
maybe it has
funny movie or a horror movie, but it was only a little bit of either. Yeah. But I saw his second movie, and I won't give any spoilers. Or
I saw
whatever.
that one too.
You saw
yeah.
that one? And I liked the first one. Like,
was that
way more.
us?
us.
Us, yeah.
I like the first one more. I wouldn't say way more, but I liked it
Yeah.
more. Yeah.
There was just a great movie poster for that movie. I didn't see the movie Us, but with the what's her name? The main character, the actress.
Lupita Nyong'o or something.
Yeah, it's like her taking off her face, and her face is like looks normal and happy, and then the face behind it looks like super fucking scary and deadpan.
Hey, was that the woman from Children of Men?
I don't think so.
Lupita Nyong'o?
Lupita
That was
Nyong'o
too
like
long ago.
Way.
Yeah, she's
thinner.
young. She's like
Sorry,
younger.
I don't know why I said that.
Wow.
Oh, because the other character you're
She's
talking
pregnant,
about is,
bro.
That's not making the final cut.
Mary, you know how many years ago that was?
He's gonna, when Mher
Usually
edits
the
this
kids
episode, he's like, "Where the fuck did I
right
say
there.
that? Where the fuck did I say that? I gotta take that out."
Yeah, so like inspired by last week's episode where Chris did those tech questions, I really liked it, and I thought, I want to prepare some questions too
Yeah.
for the gang. So
Nice. This is how we do it.
yeah, so we're gonna do
We're inspiring.
a math themed trivia that I've prepared, and as you guys have heard the voices, we got Bobber here, our Naju.
Hello.
Yo,
What's up?
Yeah, so let me just introduce the puzzle in a way, because I want to put it together.
Puzzle.
Yeah, or the whole it's one thematic thing, right?
What?
So like doing
This
math
is too much
trivia-
math, bro.
So doing like math trivia is pretty tough because I didn't want to be like, hey, solve this math problem, which is obviously boring and not really trivia. And I also didn't want to do the other thing where it's like, hey, here's some fun facts about math. Where it's like, hey, like what was Newton's first name or something stupid like that.
Isaac.
Yeah. One pride point for Bob. So I kind of prepared it in a way where it's going to be like sort of presented as like a history of math, and there's going to be a lot of like fun information.
Ooh.
And then the
This is
answer
exciting.
is going to be as much in the realm of like how trivia questions work as I could put them together. So I hope you guys enjoy it.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. This
Oh,
is
we
fun
should,
'cause, you guys both got to put your own twists on the questions. So.
Yeah. So we should figure out a way to see who goes first.
Yeah, we'll do the same thing as last week.
Yeah.
Tell,
Tell it between the three of you guys.
1, 2.
Tie.
1,
Three-way
2.
tie. Three-way tie
Okay.
again.
I was gonna
All right, guys.
so it's me. So Kazara was gonna do that.
Oh, okay. All right. So,
So it's Naju.
Naju goes first,
And we'll go clockwise, so that's me.
and we'll do 3, 2, 1 scoring.
Or is
Three
that
for
not
the
fair?
first
Should
question.
me and Ara kai by bow?
No,
No,
clockwise.
Sorry,
Clockwise.
what is the 3, 2, 1 questioning?
So everyone gets a chance to answer if the first
Oh.
two people get wrong, but you only get 1 point if you're
Gotcha.
the third person.
Right.
So 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. Yeah.
Hey, our initials are NBA.
Yeah.
The order we're going in.
Is it NBA again? Oh, it is. So last time the name of that episode was NBA Finals because we were watching the NBA Finals and it was you three, I think.
How many questions?
Damn, I didn't even get
You
that.
didn't get that pun?
How many questions?
We got 15 questions, about 5 for each.
Okay.
So. All right.
Yeah, so
Naju,
how
are you
long do we
ready?
have to solve each equation?
You guys are all each gotten 2 pieces of scratch paper and 1 number 2 pencil.
Sweet.
And it's a sheet of graph paper.
Damn, so part of the skill is like if you can keep a number 2 pencil together, you're not going to need another one.
Okay,
All
are you
right.
guys, Naju, are you ready? So first question.
No, I'm not ready.
All right.
Damn, you got it right?
We're going to go as far back as we know from human civilization in a documented way. So the earliest evidence of written mathematics
Adam.
dates back to ancient Mesopotamia. The notational system of the Babylonians was the best of any civilization until the Renaissance. The computational power was such that a clay tablet from around 1800 to 1600 BC was found which contained an approximation accurate to 6 decimal places of which irrational number, the length of a diagonal of a unit square.
The length of a diagonal of a unit square. That got like more and more complicated as you read the question.
Yeah, so most of it was set up, and then the question is at the end.
Yeah.
So some of it was just to frame the history of it a little bit.
So we did print these questions out,
We did.
and so I'm reading over the question.
Yeah, so I made the questions a little bit long, so I wanted to make sure they could read it after the
So,
fact.
which irrational number, the length of
Yeah.
the diagonal of a unit square?
The length of
So the Babylonians calculated this number up to like a really good precision for that time. The diagonal of a unit square is what irrational number?
Huh.
So this question is to Naju.
I'm going to say 3.
3 is incorrect.
3 sounds like a really rational.
So
Jesus.
So 3 up to 6 decimal places would be 3.000000.
Right.
Yeah.
I need an irrational number.
I mean, like, I'm just gonna go with the popular one and say pi.
Pi is also incorrect.
That was gonna be my guess. I feel like a little too easy.
I'm not
though.
talking about 1 degree of the 360-degree thing. Was how I understood it.
I don't know. The word degree didn't show up in here. I'm not
No,
sure.
I know, but the length of the
Yeah.
diagonal of the unit squared.
So I'm sure you guys have all covered this in like high school.
That's the part that's I'm trying to understand. The length of the diagonal of a unit square.
Dude, maybe I misunderstood this and I need to reread this.
But anyway, it is interesting to note that they had basically a better like notational system for numbers than even like the Greeks or whatever had later on.
Yeah. I don't know if I have an answer for this. Yeah.
So what do you guys know as an irrational number?
Yeah. So like pi is the most famous one, and I figured.
So it's a
you guys would guess
it's
that.
a repeating number, right?
Well, I don't want to give any more hints, but
Okay, sorry. Can I guess after
you could if you want.
5 points?
Yeah. I mean, I think I know it's wrong, but just for the sake of giving an answer, I'm just going to say I, which is the square root of negative
1. It's not I, but you were kind of in the same realm, in the correct realm. It's the square
root of 2, is it?
Yeah, it's the square root of 2.
I asked you to let me guess.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
believe that you were going to say that. Yeah.
But yeah, only I still thought it was pi at first, but I kind of don't get a lot of the question.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I said a rational number, so I don't know. I didn't get the irrational part.
So irrational means
No, yeah.
So
messed
just
it
for
up.
That was
background,
pretty bold,
irrational
though.
means and rational means it's not from like, it's more logical or whatever. It comes from the word ratio. So a rational number can be represented as a fraction of whole numbers, and an irrational number can't.
What is square root of 2? Like 1 point what?
I don't know, 1.44 or something like that. We could put that in the next Bob talk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is
So we just-
1.44.
we could calculate.
I mean, it's something between 1 and 2. So, all right. Next question.
Man, who knew the math themed podcast would be super thrilling? We're just drawing blanks.
No, it's gonna get super thrilling. Bob, this question's for you, okay? Euclid's Elements is often considered the most influential textbook of all time. In it, he introduces 5 postulates that form the basis of geometry. In the 2,000 years that followed, many attempts were made to prove that the 5th postulate could be derived from the first 4. The continued failure to do so did, however, lead to the discovery of non-Euclidean geometries, such as hyperbolic and elliptical geometry.
Sweet.
Although the postulate never explicitly uses the word, it was commonly described as the postulate about what type of lines. There's a question.
That's a paragraph. That's not a question.
Yeah, after all the intro, which gives you some interesting like history of math context, basically the question is Euclid's 5th postulate that created all this sort of like work for people to do for thousands of years was about what kind of lines?
Man, I know this. I've read about this before. It's basically, if you think like they're like curved lines that are like arcs, lines in like 3-dimensional space, basically.
Okay, that was like you said like 5 different things.
That wasn't my answer, man. I'm telling you my thought process.
It is all those things.
Did you actually hear about this?
Yeah, I've read about it because
It's like
the
a
whole idea, like
famous math kind of saga.
right, and I think I heard a thing about it, another podcast in our time, where they talked about how in non-Euclidean geometry, like you can have parallel lines cross each other, straight lines. I forget what it was exactly. Right? Is that an idea?
Yeah, that's an idea.
It's incorrect, but it is.
I mean, like, you got to give me an answer. Yeah. I mean, like, before I can comment really any further.
Oh, jeez. Okay, I wasn't fishing for answers, but clues. So yeah, I think it's that thing. I'm not sure what it's called though. But basically, the idea of like, you guys know, like on a globe, like you can have straight lines, but they still go. Like, how do you measure a straight line? You can go in a straight line, but
the rope.
But it goes
the curvature
on a curve. So
right.
What is that called? Yeah.
Thanks, Bob.
I just wanted to know if I was getting it right.
So let me just restate the question. Although the postulate never explicitly uses the word, it was commonly described as the postulate about what type of lines?
I'll say parallel lines.
Parallel lines is correct.
What is it?
Wow. What the fuck?
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Oh
guys.
man, in my head I was like, it can't just be parallel lines.
It was about parallel
wow.
lines. So like the big thing was that, you know, even though this postulate is very like complicated, I don't even remember the exact wording. It was that, you know, parallel lines don't intersect, and other people wanted to somehow disprove it for like thousands, or like prove that it could be derived from the first two, and they couldn't. And one of the things they would do was like, okay, let's assume it's wrong. And then what happens? We'll finally hit a contradiction. Except they didn't, and they just basically discovered other types of geometries.
That's awesome.
Where parallel lines might, you know, intersect in different ways. So Bob is on the board with 3 points. That was pretty good. I didn't know you heard about that. That's pretty interesting.
Well, I read about it specifically because of somebody mentioned non-Euclidean mathematics, geometry. So
yeah.
I looked it up. But this idea that, do you get what I mean? When you can go in a straight line, like on the globe, on the face of the globe.
Yeah.
And another person can go in a straight line, and you eventually meet.
You'll meet each other, yeah.
At the same point.
Because the space is not flat.
Right. So, was that on point?
Yeah, you were totally talking about all the right things, yeah.
All right.
So you
I didn't
remember
even
how
know
you
I knew that, though.
how you always complain about Mher taking really long with the question and then getting the answer correct, and then you being upset about him getting the answer correct?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
All right, this next question's for Ara. In the same work, Euclid provides a proof now known as Euclid's theorem, which became a fundamental statement in number theory. Although it can be formulated in various ways, the proof commonly involves adding 1 to the product of some set of numbers, such as adding 1 to a factorial. This theorem establishes that there are an infinite number of what?
The proof commonly involves adding 1 to the product of some set of numbers, such as adding 1 to a factorial. This theorem establishes that there are an infinite number of what? Mrs. Webster would be, from Wilson Middle School, would be upset that I don't know this.
Shout out to Mrs. Webster.
I think she retired, but
yeah, so
still shout her out.
I've read about before, like how the proof works or whatever.
So,
I don't want to say I'm drawing a blank. I'm just thinking, right?
I'm drawing a blank.
damn, it's so nice, dude. Naju is a really nice drawer.
Drawing a blank is actually really easy. You don't even have to pick up a pencil.
Well, I'm wondering what everyone's background in math is. I know Ara went to business school, but I don't know how much math they do. Like economics has a little bit of math, but
we don't do geometry.
You guys are drawing parallel lines and stuff on globes.
No, it's statistics at most.
Well,
statistics and calculus maybe.
What if you have like 10 serfs and you have to divide up a field? What do you do then?
Fucking you use Euclid's theorem.
You burn the field and the serfs go away. You turn it into a factory.
What are your math backgrounds? I took high school calculus with Bobber and Naju in my class, by the way. So Everything I remember from that class, you guys should be able to remember too.
What, dude? I stopped going to class and I just took a D. I think like one of the only D's I've gotten in my life because I was already set to go to college. This was just taking too much out of me.
I think that was my last actual math class.
That one?
Mm-hmm.
The only math I had after that was
high school senior year.
Well, you didn't have to take anything in college.
I took. I needed it was like either math or science.
Math
What?
for poets or something.
Because I got credits.
Well,
I got
musicians
credits for the AP.
Math for musicians. Music is a very mathematical thing in our
Yeah, I mean, you could
Yeah,
study
Naju has
the
the biggest
math that involves the
math
physics
background.
of music and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're you know
too many levels.
not applicable to actual math. It's like we just made up a set of rules that we have to follow. that have
Based
nothing to
on
do with-
math.
All right.
Numbers.
An infinite number of numbers.
Like in history,
no.
we
Can I just? It's wrong. I'll just say infinite number of integers.
Integers is incorrect.
I got nothing, man. I don't know what the fuck this question's asking me.
So anyway, I studied history, and we use this
History
dating
deals with
system.
numbers all the time. Yeah.
We use this dating system, like you add
You can add
a
one
year to
and
the
then it
next
becomes
year.
the next year. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Bob's
I
got
had
a
to
lot of
know
experience.
that, and I took statistics in college. That's the only post.
That was also my
high school
worst
math.
worst class in college. Statistics.
Yeah, I didn't
grade
do well
wise.
at all, but it was hard. I took it in the summer. Fucking 4 hours of math a day. It's the
Not just
worst.
math. Statistics isn't real math. So
Wow.
Controversial opinions.
Well,
We're gonna
we'll
bring
see.
those hard-hitting opinions on this podcast.
we'll see if Ara disagrees with some of these questions on statistics.
I don't have an answer. I don't know what it could possibly
Just
be.
throw something out.
Fucking real numbers.
Real numbers is incorrect.
Well, I have an idea. Like, I'm not sure exactly which one. Like, I think it is basically infinite infinities. So I think it's like the number sets, right? These are infinite sets. This theorem establishes that there are an infinite number of what? Can I say sets? Is that different from numbers? I mean, infinite sets.
You can say sets.
All right, I'll say.
All right, you're not on the wrong track. That's wrong. Okay, nobody gets that question.
Sorry, man. I feel like you're so disappointed, dude. You look so. This is
No,
like.
it's fine.
This is how my dad reacted to my knowledge of math as well.
My whole life.
Yeah.
So the correct answer was prime numbers. There's an infinite number of prime numbers.
But there's an infinite number of.
Those other
non-prime-
things too, but they have nothing to do with Euclid's theorem. Yeah.
Fucking Euclid, man.
Yeah. So I mean, the key is like you're adding one to some product of numbers, right? What is a product of numbers? That means it's composed of numbers that are multiplied together.
Yeah, we're not retarded.
And if you add one to it, you're offsetting it. So you're probably
Yeah,
thinking
so it's
prime
an
number
infinite
or-
set. Man, I can't ask you about things because I feel like they're going to be in the next question. What's an infinite set?
I don't know. Maybe a set that can have an infinite number of things. Like the set of integers is infinite, right? It's not a.
So
finite
we all
set.
said the right answer, I feel like.
All right, this is gonna
You have
get
a
pretty
portion
hard
of it.
then. So that was the easy portion of the question. No, I'm
Nice.
just kidding. Okay.
He's not kidding.
Question for Naju.
Man, this is hardcore, by the
You know,
way.
but anyway, the historical context part should be interesting to you
should
guys.
slap on a hardcore warning for math.
All right, Naj. All right, listen carefully, okay?
I shan't.
Shit.
Like always, there's clues in these questions that you want to listen carefully
Yes,
for, right?
all those clues for prime in that question.
Well, yeah, adding one to a product, that should like make you think of prime numbers.
But also, if you guys noticed the way he printed it, if you looked at the
First
first
letter.
letter of every row, it spelled out the answer.
It's spelled "fuck you."
Idiot.
All right, next one. Although the process of row reduction is commonly called Gaussian elimination, named after Carl Friedrich Gauss, it was first documented in a Chinese mathematics book called Zhujiang Xuanshu, or the 9 chapters on the mathematical art. I did my best. About 1,500 years before Gauss. The method is commonly used to solve a system of linear equations but can also be used to find the rank, determinant, or inverse of what?
Wait, can you repeat the name of the Chinese book?
I just want to hear Mher
need to know.
attempt doing that again.
No, I just it's gonna help me answer it.
I mean, I printed it in the original Chinese characters, so
Wow,
the pronunciation
Look at
was
you.
hard.
Sorry, I stopped listening like halfway through.
I feel
really
like
had to
if
do
you
this.
could actually read the Chinese characters, that the pronunciation would be easier.
It's not. It's in Roman characters. Oh, also, like I should credit Wikipedia because I did a bunch of reading and some sentences are literally verbatim.
Oh,
Am I
okay.
allowed to do that?
Sure.
Nope.
You just did it, bro.
Yeah. So this idea of row reduction can help you find the rank, determinant, or inverse of what, and it's also called Gaussian elimination.
And I'm kind of like a little offended that you thought you had to tell us who the Gaussian
Elimination was
elimination was
named
named
after.
after. Yeah, I forgot what
I
it was
don't
called.
know.
Who was it named after, Bobber?
Carl Friedrich Gauss.
Wow. Nice, Bob. Or Friedrich.
Oh, pardon me.
So
I'm just gonna drop out of this game. I'm
no,
gonna
no,
leave I'm gonna go home.
Look, it's hard for everybody, so.
Come on, Naj. Gotta get one.
So have you heard of any of these terms?
Not. I mean, in
Chinese.
high school in high school.
I heard of this thing called a book.
So we probably didn't learn about this in high school, but some of those terms should be kind of familiar from a certain class we took that Ara probably also took in high school.
All right, Naj, you got an idea?
Pass.
Okay.
You pass? Okay, Naju, pass is wrong.
Yeah, I really have no idea what this is even asking. What's a linear equation? And
You're looking at me. I just
method
passed.
is commonly used to solve the let's say I don't know, a pair.
A pair is incorrect.
I have no idea.
All right, Ara for 1 point. So if you have a set of those equations, to solve them together would mean to find where they intersect, right? And, 2 dimensions is a line, 3 dimensions, they would be a series of planes. And then 4 dimensions, etc. You'd have to imagine multi-dimensional planes or whatever. And when you solve them, you find the point where they all intersect.
Oh, okay.
So this is going a completely different direction where I thought it was, because when you first said row reduction, my first thought was like, oh, matrices, which was like algebra 2 or something.
Okay.
But then linear equations came into play. So that's not matrices. I'm gonna say the slope.
Slope is incorrect.
Damn.
The answer was matrix.
Oh no! Are you kidding
my
me?
God.
It was matrix.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So the big hint was like row reduction.
I know,
That's
dude,
that's
that's-
the first thing that came
I'm
to
sorry,
mind.
but I had the image in my mind and I couldn't think of what those are called. I wouldn't have gotten it. But
Yeah.
all right, I can't believe you said it. And when you said it too, I was like, man.
That's a shame point to me.
But
Yeah,
would
I
never
thought you
have
were about to
gotten
say it
that,
too. But yeah, those are all rank and especially rank and determinant are things of a matrix. If you guys had ever heard it, and inverse could be inverse of many things, but also a matrix.
Yeah, I
I'm
think that was
close.
definitely algebra 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, algebra 2 or pre-calc, one of those classes.
Yeah, I mean, that was right when Keanu Reeves fucked it up in the Matrix, dude.
Yeah, and if you guys are really paying attention to the movie, you would notice the row reduction part. Did you guys catch that one in the movie? No.
Yeah. That was when the bullets
Can't
were
tell if
coming,
you're
right?
serious.
The bullets were coming right at him. He went,
Oh yeah, he
He
was
studied-
reducing it. Yeah,
he
exactly.
studied that Chinese book.
They uploaded in his
I
brain,
know kung
think.
fu.
whoa. I know linear algebra.
Yeah. All right, next one. So if you notice, we're like going through like history of math in a way.
I like this journey we're going.
Yeah, yeah. So we're still dealing with like things like that of that nature. Bob, questions to you. The Surya Siddhanta is the name of a Sanskrit treatise in astronomy which describes rules to calculate the motions of various planets and the moon relative to various constellations. To do so, the text included a mathematical study of half chords and arcs, and subsequently the functions ja, kotija, and utkramaja. Through a series of transcriptions, transliterations, and translations, ja and kotija became known as what in English?
Sine, cosine.
That's your answer? That's
Yeah.
correct.
Come on,
Yeah.
man.
Was
What
that
the
too easy?
fuck? Yeah.
Was that too easy?
Yeah,
Were
that
you
was
guys
way
all
too
thinking?
easy. Yeah.
Because of the arcs and
Kotija.
kotija. Okay. Bob's up to 6 points. Score is 6-0-0.
The other one I got was too easy too, huh?
Was it?
No, I don't think
No,
so.
I have no idea if that was the answer.
I'm gonna question the seed placement with the paper
was that
placement.
question?
I rate, yeah, maybe
Five.
I rated
Five,
those
yeah.
correctly. I don't know. Okay.
So the score is 6-0, but you guys can easily catch up.
Oh man, this one's a long question for Ara. Okay, we're gonna go
What?
on a little bit of an adventure.
Those are the short questions.
No, this one I think is the longest one. So this is actually interesting because it's like sort of like something that is like many different civilizations through time have like dealt with, right?
I love this, by the way.
Yeah. So the earliest methods for solving for the roots of a polynomial of degree 2 were geometric in Babylonian tablets, ancient Egyptian papyrus, and ancient Greek and Chinese manuscripts. In his work Arithmetica, Diophantus solved these equations in a more algebraic form, but only yielded one solution. Brahmagupta explicitly described the formula in plain words instead of symbols. In 1820, Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi solved these equations entirely algebraically. It wasn't until 1594 when Simon Stevin described a formula that covered all cases. René Descartes followed up in 1637 to cover some special cases and yield the formula that is ubiquitously taught today and commonly known as what?
The quadratic formula.
Nice. Ara
Ding,
got
ding,
that.
ding. Good job, man.
Extra points if I remember it. No, actually, I don't know if I remember it, but it's
Do it.
What did you
You
remember?
get pride points.
x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2 times a. Something
I don't
like
remember
that.
it, but that
That's
sounds
it,
right.
That's
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
I think it's right.
Nice. 2 times A.
So what gave that one away? Or you just knew it? Like
The polynomial gave it away.
the polynomial one?
Because I was totally thinking like, oh, that's how he said that. Okay.
The only reason I remember that is because of a song they made us sing like 5 million
Did
times.
you guys have that song too?
Yeah.
I thought that was
I
like,
don't even have a Narek had a song.
yeah, because one of the
He totally
teachers at our
still
school
remembers it.
had like a whole song and dance around.
It was a
where-
song. That's how we remembered it. Yeah.
Bam. Music helps learning.
Yeah, helps remember things. All right, Naju, next question's to you. Question number 7. Score is now 6 Bobber, 3 Ara, 0 Naju.
Oops, I forgot
Naju.
to tally.
In his proof of the sum formula of integral cubes, the Persian mathematician Al-Karaji established the truth for a statement for n equals 1 and derives the truth for n equals k from n equals k minus 1. In doing so, he may have documented the first ever case of the mathematical proof technique known as proof by what? So basically, this question is just the definition of this type of proof, which we probably went over in various math
Yeah, it
classes.
sounds familiar, but I
Stop
can't
giving
recall it.
Naju the easy ones. I don't know what different types of proofs there are.
Yeah.
Well, there's just like techniques, right?
So what do you listeners at home think? Is this an easy one? We'll give you a second to come up with the answer.
Yeah.
You're going to tweet Bob.
Tweet Bob. Hashtag quiz quarters.
Yeah. So what I did was
Podcast.
I literally just went to like the history of mathematics page and I just read everything.
I should have fucking studied that page.
And then I clicked random things and I put together the questions.
What good is that if you just studied that page? By the way, and just
I
knew all the
remember
answers.
reading these. But no, I
Yeah,
like
but
you have to
what's
like
the point?
pick things up.
Well,
and
then I would
follow them and
win.
Stuff.
I would know the answers.
You're already winning.
Well, winning isn't win. I'm not there yet. Naju's Ara's coming from behind.
So
Naju's
No.
gonna kill it in a second.
Any ideas, Naj?
No, I can't think of a single proof. Do you remember when I wanted to step out last round from this game?
All right, you want to pass?
Yeah.
All right,
I don't
Naju
know.
passes.
Proof. I don't know. Like he demonstrated it. Let's say it was a demonstrative proof. Why are you laughing? Fine. I guess that's not my answer.
Sorry. Well, I mean, like literally, like demonstrate is in the last sentence. Probably. Or I think I said documented.
All right. Proof through like solution, like doing the math itself. I don't know what to call that. So, solutional.
Solutional is wrong. Ara.
For 1 point.
For 1 point.
Associative proof.
Associative is wrong. It was proof by induction.
So as opposed to deduction. What does that
I
mean?
guess maybe yeah.
So how did he even do something? What does that mean?
You know,
What's
I don't know
induction?
Just know the name, bro.
I don't know the etymology of how it's related to like inductive reasoning. It must be related in some way, but like that's
But
called,
would
like,
the
an induction
opposite
proof.
of it be proof by deduction?
I don't know. Maybe there is a proof by deduction.
So what is it?
But this means basically you show two things. You want to show that something is true for all possible n. What you
Okay,
can
so
do is two things, which is say that it's true for one,
It's
and
true
then
at
it's
this time,
true-
and it's never true otherwise.
No, you show that it's true for n equals 1, let's
Uh-huh.
say, and then you say, okay, if I know that it's true for n equals k, I can show that k plus 1 also works.
Okay.
So then you know if it's 1, then k plus 1 is 2, and then k plus 1 is 3, then that proves that for every single possible number it's true. So then you've proved that it's always true. That's the whole idea. All right.
I guess.
Next question for Bob. Man, you know, maybe I just didn't rate these questions all that well, but here it goes.
No, they're written pretty well, but
Rated. I don't think I don't know if I rated them.
oh man, are they getting harder and harder, or are you mixing them?
Let's see. No, I mean, like, I tried to arrange them in, like, a fair way. Okay. In 1202, Leonardo of Pisa, before he was known by his posthumous name, wrote Liber Abaci, or Liber Abaci, I think it's the plural of abacus, in which he introduced Western audiences to the Hindu-Arabic numeral system and several mathematical problems which were better solved by these numerals. In an example problem describing the growth of a population of rabbits, he introduced a series for which he is much more widely known today. What was this series? Here's the question.
I don't know. I'll say the Fibonacci sequence.
The Fibonacci sequence is correct. Bob, nice.
Did you guys
Pulling ahead.
know that?
No, I was no.
Yeah, so what I didn't know about him was, like, you know, I guess he, like, traveled or had contacts with, like, I don't know, people in the Muslim world at that time.
That makes sense.
And he was the one that, like, basically was like, hey, these numbers work, like, way better to do math.
Right. Oh, that's
And then
interesting.
people were like, oh, yeah, you're right.
And the
But then I
Arabs
never knew
got
him
it
for that.
from the Indians,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Still call them Arabic numerals. You didn't know what?
I didn't know that he was, like, part of that at all. But,
Yeah.
yeah, I think he came
That
from,
makes sense.
like, the Hindu system originally to the Arabs and, you know, other...
Did you hear that? Did you guys hear that? President Donald Trump was trying to ban math because it's a Muslim invention.
Oh.
I read something where,
That
like,
makes
they
sense.
took, like, some fake survey where, like, should, you know, Arabic numerals be banned from, like, schools or whatever.
I say yes,
Yeah, well-
by the way.
Mine was a sarcastic way of basically pointing that out, I guess.
I
Yeah.
mean, if he took that survey, he would have definitely said yes.
I always said we use Roman numerals for everything. Yeah, that's so Italian.
All right. Next question is to Ara.
yeah.
All right, Ara. So we got to skip ahead a little bit because not a lot of stuff was happening in the world in those 400 years, I guess.
Okay.
That was 1202. I guess stuff was still
Dude,
happening.
a lot of stuff was
There was
400
well, I
years.
mean, like not in the world
Not
of
in
math.
math.
It was actually there's this period where I was like I had to struggle to find stuff from that period. Which one of the things was like the Arabic numeral system and and Fibonacci.
Well, that's in Europe. They were doing a lot in like the Arab world at that time.
Well, the Arab world was even a little bit before that. So the last couple of questions were a little bit more Arab
Wait,
world.
what time period do you mean? Like 1200s, you're saying?
He's talking about
Yeah.
between 1200 and 1600. Not just
Well,
happening.
yeah. I mean, like the Arab stuff was like happening like
Yeah, way
up
before
until
that.
this, like up until
Right.
1200 or whatever. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't still afterwards too. Arab and other non-Arab Muslims, by the way, because some of the best mathematicians were like Persian or whatever. All right, next one for Ara.
Yeah.
Persian.
In a 1614 publication, John Napier wrote extensive explanatory matter and tables related to a new representation of a common mathematical question. His original formulation became known as the natural version. Soon after, Henry Briggs created the common version, which equates a known number to an unknown power of 10. Eventually, this function and its properties were extended to any base at all, such as the base 2 binary version, which is useful for computer science. What is the name of this type of function?
Excuse me for a second. I'm just going to read it.
So yeah, Mher, we need you to explain these answers to afterwards.
Yeah,
the question.
we can talk about the last one. What was that? Oh, the Fibonacci sequence. It's not really that interesting.
Well, what clued me off the most was the fact that it was about, like, he said he went to the Arab world and studying, like,
Yeah.
you know, they got a lot of, I don't know, that contributed to the beginnings of the Renaissance and all that.
Yeah.
They got a lot, like, from the ancient Greek texts and stuff that were lost in
Yeah, they were
Europe
only
that
in
they
Arabic or
got in the
whatever.
Arab world, yeah. And his name is super Italian. So
Yeah,
that really
Leonardo
clued me
Pisa.
out.
I didn't know he had another name. That was
Yeah,
kind
I
of
didn't know
interesting.
either. I thought you were totally going with Da Vinci, but I guess he was around a little later.
Yeah. So it's interesting as you read like through the history, you see like as far as Europe, it's like, and it was another interesting thing, like you know the Greeks or even before that, like Babylonians and Egyptians and stuff were like, there's all this like stuff that they tried to write about math or whatever, and maybe they weren't, you know, they did what they could, and then the Greeks really expanded into it, and they were really super into geometry and stuff. And then you read about like the Romans who were like, you know, the
Didn't give a
the
fuck.
kings of the world, and they didn't do shit, dude. They were
Yeah,
just
because
like,
they left the math to the fucking Greek nerds. Guess what they
the
did?
Romans are just like, yeah, that's some nerd
But dude,
shit,
they
dude.
literally like you know what they did? They fucking conquered Greece and brought over a
All the
bunch
smart
of
people.
Greeks as slaves. Like that was a huge thing.
Yeah,
And Greeks were like, fine, like this is what we're
just let
more
us keep
about.
doing maths, and that's fine. But yeah, it's kind of like it's just kind of amazing that like
Let us
they
fuck
were
our
that
boys and do our
powerful for
math.
that long of a time, and like they didn't really make any
that's
significant contributions to like the history of math
Dude,
at all.
they even think like one of the, I don't know, like one of the big contributions they made, like to, for example, architecture, like using arches extensively and domes and things like that. They even think they stole that from
Probably
the
got it from the
Etruscans. Etruscans,
Oh yeah,
because you see that in Etruscan architecture before.
yeah.
But that's kind of what Rome was, man. It was like it just took from the world.
Yeah.
It was just particularly good at ruling.
Yeah, I don't know
Conquering, I
the
guess, is better than.
I don't know the answer to this.
Ruling.
I'm gonna say an integral function.
Integral is incorrect. Naju, to you.
Function, conjunction, junction.
Okay.
Anything, Naju?
Nope.
So it's also really like hard to talk about stuff.
Especially when you know nothing about
Well,
it.
no, I mean like, no, it's hard for me to say stuff because there's stuff that's in like subsequent questions that I don't want to
I
like,
know.
talk about. So I have
Right.
to like,
So I'm asking you questions, you're being all coy. So we're looking for what type of function, huh?
yeah, what type of function are we talking about here? Or what is the name of this type of function that's being described here? It doesn't really matter who invented it or when, but that's just some like historical context for when, you know, these ideas.
It's a little
were-
bit of flavor you add to the
Yeah.
questions. Hey, mamma mia. Hey, I'm Fibonacci. Oh, look at me.
An exponential function.
Inappropriate.
Exponential function is incorrect.
Damn, that was good, man. I have no idea, dude. I feel like a differential equation is a thing, so why can't a differential function be one? So I'll say that.
Differential function is also incorrect. Naju, you were pretty close. So what's the inverse of an exponential function?
Oh,
And this is something we definitely learned about in probably Algebra 2 as well.
the square of it?
Well, square is the type of exponential, but it's the logarithm, right? The log function or logarithm function. And what should have given it away was the natural version. And because I'm sure you guys have
ln,
heard
yeah.
natural log
Oh.
and log 10, which is, I guess, the common log. I didn't know it was called common logarithm, but there you go.
So what's the answer?
Logarithm.
Oh,
Or log. So basically, exponential is like 10 to the 5th power equals what, right?
Yeah.
Logarithm would say like 10 to what power equals this. So it's like
Yeah.
sort of the inverse in that way. And the definition is literally in the question, which is, equates a known number,
To an unknown power of 10.
unknown power of 10. Yep.
all
That's a
right.
good question.
Question 10.
Okay. Question 10. Speaking of tens, tens have been coming up a lot. It's an important number. All right. This question is to Naju. All right. Are you ready?
Nope.
You should get
Is
ready,
it?
man.
Huh?
It is. Not.
Yeah,
It
It
is.
is.
Okay. So this is some good history. Like this is when we're getting into like really I guess a little bit post-Renaissance, but this is when like, as far as the
Oh, the
history of math,
Renaissance.
when things really blew up. Naju. The calculus controversy was an argument between the mathematicians Isaac Newton and Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz over who invented calculus. The controversy divided English-speaking mathematicians from continental European mathematicians for many years. Newton's fluxions and Leibniz's differentials were similarly used to represent the smallest possible non-zero positive numbers. Calculus was later reformulated by Cauchy, Bolzano, and others to use epsilon delta definition of limits instead of relying on either fluxions or Leibniz's differentials. Those types of numbers, and to clarify, the fluxions or differentials, are described as or called what? And I might have to reread this, or you should reread parts of it,
Man,
because it's a really long question.
That really made me want to hit you, man.
That made me...
Sorry.
Wait, why did it make you want
I don't know. It's just like an assault on my brain. I don't know, man. Makes me angry.
So to summarize the question, basically Newton and
Leibniz, which we had a learned league question.
We had a
on.
learned league question about that around the same time, and there's some controversy over who saw whose unpublished papers or whatever, etc. Let's forget about that. They basically both invented calculus around the same time, and they both had to come up with a way to represent this idea of numbers that are like smaller than any other number, but not zero. And they each had their own way of representing them. Eventually, calculus didn't need those ideas, but those kind of numbers, what are they called? Or what's a way that they're described? That type of number is described as what? It's so small that it's smaller than any other number.
Approaching zero.
Yeah. That
Is
sounds
that your
good.
answer?
Yeah.
That's incorrect. I mean, that's correct.
But that's not the term.
I
That's not
don't
the answer,
understand. Is it correct or not? Fucking calculus, man.
I mean, it's another way to describe it. Well, it's more like the other description. The thing that came to replace the idea is more like the approaching zero idea.
What is that called? Like infinitely approaching zero.
Just say infinitely. It makes
It's a reverse exponential.
Is that your answer?
Hold on, I'm describing.
Yeah.
Like, what's the opposite of exponential? Inponential.
Well, the opposite of exponential we got on the last question, right? The inverse of exponential is logarithmic.
But I thought log was just a way of describing that. That's what you're asking.
No, but like, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to talk anymore.
What? It's gonna make for a great podcast if you don't want to talk
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, exponential is a type of, operation on a number. But it's also used to say like exponential growth to mean very fast. But that's just
No,
that's
it's
just
just,
an idiom,
it's just
you know?
infinitely approaching infinity. So yeah, reverse exponential.
Reverse exponential is incorrect. Aura?
That's logarithmic, man. That's what the question.
Shut up.
It's infinitesimal.
Infinitesimal is the correct answer.
What?
Aura for a
Oh,
point.
that's
Too bad it's just 1 point.
Yeah.
infinitesimal. That
Yeah.
sounds like Italian too. Nice.
So,
We know how much the Italians.
you know,
hate
the
math.
idea is for you guys to think of infinity, right? It's infinity towards zero in a way. It's so small.
Oh,
It's infinitely small.
I did the etymology.
Yeah. So that was pretty good.
That was a nice. To
To Bobber. Okay. All right. This one, I think I rated this as the hardest question. But I tried to reformulate it, to keep reformulating this thing to make it easier, but I couldn't. But it's one of the more interesting stories of math, so I wanted to include it. Okay.
Okay. You have anything else to say about the question?
No. The city of Königsberg in Prussia was set on both sides of the Pregel River and included 2 large islands, which were connected to each other and each connected to the mainland on both sides of the river, all by 7 bridges. Leonard Euler set out to solve how to devise a walk through the city that would cross each bridge exactly once. He recognized that the key information was the common plots of land and the bridges that connected them, and not their exact position. He proved that there was no solution in what came to be recognized as the first proof of specifically what related branch or theory, I don't know why I put related there, of specifically what branch or theory of mathematics which deals with vertices and edges.
Crazy. I'm not sure, but I listened to a episode of In Our Time about Euler's number, and they talked about Euler and they talked about this thing. So I don't remember most of it. So I don't know. What would that be? Vertices and stuff. That's vortexinal mathematics. That's not my answer.
Yeah.
I'm thinking out loud.
So he's probably one of the most famous mathematicians ever. So his like
I
stuff.
feel like if I had the
touched
whole day to
everything.
think about this, I would get it.
You might. If they did a podcast about him and they told this story, they probably mentioned this answer.
Let's see. No, but it's also something like I think that's studied commonly and we did in school. Vortices.
Well,
What's the
I
plural?
don't know what a
Mher?
vortex is, but we're talking about vertex.
Sorry,
They might be
I'm-
different things.
Sorry, I didn't mean a vertex. A
vortex
vortex
is like the center of a hurricane or
It's like
something?
a swirl, yeah. So that was in physics. Fluid dynamics. Remember that year we took that?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I never took that. It's gonna be something like where you have different points. God, what is that called?
I can add another hint, although it might not help, or it might
That's
just
not
be like
fair.
a nice. Well, the first person hasn't guessed yet.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. No, I'll just say it as a fun fact after the question.
Okay.
It's really not going to help, but it's just a fun fact.
Say it.
Oh,
I don't know if Ara also wants me to
It's
say
okay. I don't know it, so go ahead.
it. The fun fact is that, when Will Hunting solves a problem as a janitor outside of that lecture hall, it's in this type of math.
yeah, dude. It's on the fucking tip of my brain.
But I don't know if that movie covers a lot about what kind of math he does. But at least from that early introduction, it's probably this.
So anyway, I think that's like it has something to do with points on a map. It's called the thing, similar to that. I wish I could remember what those stupid numbers are called. I feel like it's related to it, or it's gonna trigger me getting it, but I can't remember it now. So your world place stats, you know what I'm talking about. You guys
I think
acknowledge
vaguely,
that that's a
yeah, I understand kind of vaguely what you're talking about.
All right, I can't remember. So I'll say Cartesian. That's obviously
No, Cartesian is wrong,
That's obviously
but it's a thing in mathematics.
It's named after.
Descartes.
Yeah.
It was a question I was thinking of putting on there because it's interesting that you would think that Cartesian would like come from like the root of like cart or like map or like
Compass.
coordinates,
Damn.
but it's totally coincidental that
Cartography.
Descartes' name was basically of charts, basically.
Huh. He was a charter.
Yeah, chart. As we know, like the Latin "ca" became a "cha" in French, and that got into English as
Well,
chart.
it must have a common root to Armenian, which
Cartas, yeah.
might have borrowed it from French or something.
Yeah, or like cartography.
Yep.
It's probably borrowed from Greek, I would bet, the Armenian.
Maybe, or just from French later, because that happened a lot.
Maybe.
Especially with things like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
but
sure
the
they had
reason
maps.
those coordinates are called Cartesian is after Descartes.
Descartes.
So it's kind of a happy coincidence.
But I know that's why I was saying this isn't going to be the answer. It's named after.
A different guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna say tangents.
Tangents is incorrect. To Naju for 1 point.
Before you give the answer, can you answer me that thing I was thinking?
I think you were thinking. Well, no, wait for Naju.
I guess they're coordinates.
That's the word you were thinking of. Yeah.
Coordinates.
Is that your answer?
I have no answer, man.
That's just say that then.
But that's
All
not
right.
the answer.
So we're looking for We're looking for a branch or theory of mathematics.
Right. This is like a theory that they actually like use in map making stuff, right?
Naju.
Math making. I said I have no answer.
No answer. Okay, so the answer was graph theory.
Okay.
Have you guys ever heard of that?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
guess maybe
No.
that was a bad question then. But the map making thing was when that proof that you only need, I think, 4 colors for a map or whatever.
Yeah.
That
Was it 4 or I
proved-
think it was? No, it can't be 3.
I think it was 4, but I'm not sure. But like the way you prove it is through like a graph theory method.
Crazy. I like that question.
You guys
Sorry, I
remember
took so long
those
answering
Goodwill Hunting pictures? That's sort of like graph theory.
Huh.
All right, next question. Current score: Bobber 9, Aura 4, Naju 0.
Oh, this has been so thrilling.
Yeah,
I really like the questions.
This
though, so-
question goes to Aura. Okay, we're back to Gauss, one of the great mathematicians of all
Nice.
time. Here's a little story.
Is it gonna be in rap form?
I've never seen this word before, but it was on Wikipedia, so I'm sure it's a real word. The Geodetic Survey of Hanover, which required Carl Friedrich Gauss to spend summers traveling on horseback for a decade, fueled his interest in differential geometry and the curvature of surfaces. This interest led him to the Theorema Egregium, or remarkable theorem, which demonstrated that the curvature of a surface can be determined entirely by measuring angles and distances on a surface, regardless of how the surface is embedded in three-dimensional space.
What?
This is the reason, for example, that the Earth cannot be displayed on a two-dimensional map without distortion. Although the term was not in use at the time, this theorem is considered an early result in what then budding field of mathematics. So again, we're looking for a field of mathematics. Yeah. So this proof is shown for that, but honestly, I don't totally understand. I tried to read about the proof. It's too crazy. I don't understand it.
It's just saying you can't perfectly.
Well, that's
Well,
one of the
that map part,
consequences of
okay.
it. Yeah, you can't. There's no way to show the Earth on a two-dimensional surface.
There's no way to
without
just get rid
distorting
of a dimension.
it. Bob got really
choked up.
emotional about that.
He's crying.
Bob's like, I've always wanted a perfect map.
It's just so remarkable.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. It's almost like mathematics is reflects the world, which is definitely three-dimensional.
Yeah.
And
But,
then
I
you have
mean-
this theoretical two-dimensional mathematics called Euclidean geometry.
Well, don't. Just
No, dude, this is the
Bob
philosophy.
is saying kind of wrong things. Testing. Yeah, okay. All right, we're back. Now we're on the air.
So Mher fucked up everything.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I'll put a piece together. I saved the other one.
So Mher fucked everything up. We lost a bunch of stuff.
No, we didn't lose that much.
It was a lot. No, it was this last question. You want to repeat it? And
Yeah, no, I think we heard the question. I don't remember the answers, but
it's not important. Nobody got it even close.
Nobody got it, but I thought that you guys would have a fair shot at this because it's a common English term. It's might be used in a not every day, maybe once every couple of months. You might use this word, which is topology.
See, I thought that was a science.
Yeah, I mean it might be.
I guess
but
there's
it's
a
like
field of mathematics.
studying curvatures and shit like that. And it's has the reputation, at least from what I remember in college, of being really difficult as a class in math.
Yeah, because it's hard. Like, how do you measure the surface area of like a mountainous region, for example?
Yeah. So I think one of the things I read about in the Wikipedia theory, and it might have been this section or the part about maybe non-Euclidean geometry, but what was one of the things was what's the area that connects these three mountains?
Huh.
And you can't actually accurately say it if you use regular Euclidean geometry or whatever. That might have been Gauss too.
Fuck, man. Gauss is crazy.
Big name in math, yeah. If that comes up in trivia, this might help you guys. Some of these names. Gauss, Euler, Euclid, a bunch of the people we talked about already.
Leibniz.
Yeah. I don't know whose question it is, though.
I feel like that started with me. No? Am I wrong?
What question number was that? 12?
12.
It's me. It's my question.
So
This
now
next one is
it's
Naju's
Naju.
question?
Yeah.
Okay. This one I like, just because the story here and a little bit of what I read was so interesting, and you guys will get a little piece of that. In 1874, Georg Cantor, I think that's how you say his name, or Georg maybe. It's George without an E at the end.
Georg.
Cantor published a proof that established that real numbers were more numerous than natural numbers. The method of proof laid the foundation for a later theory that was so counterintuitive and shocking that it encountered resistance from mathematical and philosophical contemporaries. Some Christian theologians saw Cantor's work as a challenge to the nature of God. And on one case, and on
You guys are jumping to some crazy conclusions.
All pursuit of knowledge is against the nature
Thank
of
you,
God.
Naju. That's true. I have to agree with you.
Some Christian theologians saw Cantor's work as a challenge to the nature of God, and on one occasion equated the theory with pantheism. This theory proposes the existence of multiple kinds of what?
Gods. It's gods.
Polytheism.
Well, those theologians had a point.
Theologians, dude. Theologians. It'll be easier to say.
Theologians? Theologians. That actually sounds like something I've heard before rather than read.
It rolls off the tongue easier. This is interesting.
I wish I could have found as many interesting stories. I tried to pull them up wherever I could, but...
So you're asking his
So the phrase it basically, his theory, and there's, the first sentence
his
says
theory
it started...
proposed multiple whats? Is that what it's...
Yeah, multiple whats existed. The existence of multiple whats or multiple kinds of what that was so counterintuitive and, offensive to people or whatever.
He tried to divide by 0, didn't he? The fucking Christians freaked out. And the Jews were like, maybe.
So now just thinking.
And then the
about this
Hindus said something in an equally offensive accent. Oh, the
one. How do you
Buddhists
say
are
it
here.
again? Theologians?
Theologians.
I don't know anymore, bro.
The emphasis is on loge.
Theologians, yeah.
The emphasis is on loge. Okay. Theologians.
Loge.
There's a word like that where up until recently, every time I read it, I would say
you were
it
saying you're
differently than when I would say it out loud, and then I connected the two.
Man,
And
there was a
the word?
recent one.
Awry.
Wait, how do you... That's how you
would
say it, right?
Ari.
You say Ari?
Ari when I
Yeah.
would read it.
I think I used to do that too.
And
until
by
I heard
recently,
it.
I don't mean like till today, but
Ari.
like
Yeah,
as in
yeah. You still remember when it
yeah, I
happened.
remember when it happened, and I was like, oh, it's Array.
It's that
and
word,
I connected
A-R-R-A-Y?
I went through that experience
A-W-R-Y.
at some point too.
Oh, array.
Yeah,
Oh,
array.
not like array. I thought you were talking about array this whole time. Ari. That sounds better. I said we proposed to change the pronunciation.
I mean, it totally looks like it would be Ari.
Dude, there was totally one I had like a few days ago. I want to remember what it was.
Run like the wind. Naju,
Okay, Naju,
pass.
is that a white flag you ceremoniously
Naju
gave to me?
passes again.
This theory proposed the existence of multiple kinds of what?
Yeah.
I'm going to say multiple kind. I'm not answering yet. This is the final answer.
I won't take it.
I feel like there's multiple kinds of like maybe realities of sorts, physics. What do you call them? Like parallel dimensions. What is that called? Like a parallel existence. Anyway, I'll say different kinds of mathematics.
No, it's not different kind of
Or
mathematics.
logic. God. Anyway, I'll throw that out for free. But I already answered mathematics. Different kinds of logics. Maybe it's different kinds of
Candy.
fuck you, I'm not a child.
Or what he proposed was that there's different kinds
Of trinities.
of pronunciations of theologians. And they would have
Mathematicians were like, no, it's obviously like a log, like a theologue. No, that makes more sense.
Multiple kinds of zeros.
Heaven.
That's not right, but you were kind of close on the idea. I really like this question, and it's like a really famous proof in math. So, you know, if you're trying to impress people at a party or something. But what he found was that he sort of proved that there were
Infinities?
different kinds of infinities. There you go.
Are you
Bob.
serious?
And that some infinities are bigger than
Bigger than
others.
other infinities, yeah.
And you actually were thinking of this idea way earlier.
Yeah, because
When you answered wrong on a different question, you were actually thinking of the answer to
Sets.
this one. Yeah.
infinite
And sets was Georg Cantor was like the father of sets, and his whole thing was set theory, etc.
Yeah, because I think I did hear another, maybe the same podcast where they talked about that concept.
So
that
the
some infinities are bigger than other infinities.
Yeah. So the beginning part of this should have maybe clued you out that it said established that real numbers were more numerous than natural numbers, right? So real
Even
numbers.
though both are infinite.
Yeah. So
There's
how could
more
there
of
be
them.
more real numbers than natural
Got
numbers?
it.
They're both
Yeah.
infinite. Some infinities are bigger than others.
That was dope. Don't
Yeah.
listen.
So-
Put another warning on this. Don't fucking
It's
take
explicit.
psychedelics before you listen to
Yeah.
this one.
You're gonna
It's
turn
gonna be boring
because
as
you're gonna
fuck.
turn it off. Yeah.
Why are we doing this, bro?
Whose question
Trust
is
me,
it?
these idiots
This is
from
Bobber's
Los
question.
Angeles think they're making an interesting podcast.
Yeah.
Bobber.
Bob, question to you.
So
Okay.
this is question number 14.
14,
So
penultimate.
let's just yeah.
Let's see the
score is
scoring. I
still-
think Bob's basically clinched it. Well,
No, Ara can still win. but-
Aura can get 2 plus 1. That will take him up to. Oh, yeah, he can get 2 plus 3. He can get 5 more. He can tie it. Aura can tie it if he gets the
So
next
the
2.
score now is Bobber 9,
Aura
Ara
4,
4,
Naju
Naj
0. Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
This is also a great question that I like.
You don't have to say that before every single
Yeah.
question.
You
I really
number
like
one,
these
you
questions,
made
by the way.
you
Yeah.
made the questions.
Who
so
made these questions? They're really great.
and number two, whenever you say that, it doesn't mean anything to anyone else.
But
It means a lot to me, man.
you guys will like this one, I think. You guys will like this one. Well, I don't know.
All right, let's find out.
Sir Francis Galton once wrote, quote, I know of scarcely anything so apt to impress the imagination as the wonderful form of cosmic order expressed by the, inner quote, law of frequency of error, and inner quote. The law would have been personified by the Greeks and deified if they had known of it. It reigns with serenity and in complete self-effacement amidst the wildest confusion. The huger the mob and the greater the apparent anarchy, the more perfect is its sway. It is the supreme law of unreason. Whenever a large sample of chaotic elements are taken in hand and marshaled in the order of their magnitude, An unsuspected and most beautiful form of regularity proves to have been latent all along. End quote. He was speaking of possibly the most important concept of probability theory and statistics, known commonly as the blank limit theorem. Fill in the blank.
The blank limit theorem? Dude, so I watched a documentary about...
Sir Francis Galton?
No, about... what is this field of math called? Statistical probability.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because you were talking about some of those things.
Yeah.
But I don't know the name, so it's the blank...
The blank limit theorem.
I don't know.
You're gonna pass or
No, I thought you were gonna say something.
No.
So I know there's that idea, and they talked about it in the show. Like the bigger the crowd, the more the mean of their answers is going to be correct. And I feel like he was touching on some of those ideas. Like you could say the same thing for errors, maybe the blank error theorem. No, you said error way too much.
I said the blank limit theorem.
Let's say data.
Data limit theorem is incorrect. Ara?
Can I see the sheet?
Like data
Yes.
points or something. But yeah, you know that the what is that called?
Yeah.
The
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. At first, I was gonna not even have the blank and be like, "What's the name of this theorem?" Because it's kind of like so famous. But I was like, "Wait, that's way too hard. You guys are probably not gonna get it." But you're thinking of the right thing. You just don't know the word, I think.
yeah. But I don't know. I feel like you were kind of saying the opposite. Like his thing was about the bigger the set of points, like the more errors there are gonna be. I guess it's all about.
Yeah, maybe you can read it over again. I don't even remember all the details, but he put it very poetically.
The higher the mob, and the greater the apparent anarchy, the more perfect is its sway.
It's just so beautiful. Was he a writer? He was like a scientist, I think, right?
Who?
Galton? Sir
I don't know.
Francis Galton?
But yeah, there's a wisdom of the crowd. I think that's the idea. It's the limit part. I don't know what that means.
The population limit theorem.
Population limit theorem is incorrect. Bob clinched it. Naju, pride points. Honestly, like one of those like drunken nights, late night with you guys, I've probably talked about this.
Hey, by the way, Ara can still tie it.
No, he could have tied if he got that right.
Oh, he's 4. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Or maybe I haven't mentioned it. I'm not sure. But I might have talked about it. Any idea, Naj?
Nope.
Pass?
Yep.
It's the central limit theorem. Have you guys ever heard of that?
So what's that mean? No.
I haven't heard the name, but this concept I was listening to, I feel like it was I think maybe it was Planet Money or one of those podcasts, like economics, statistics podcasts, and they definitely were talking about this concept.
Yeah, so it's like a core concept of basically any statistics. The idea, Bob, which you were talking about, sort of with law of large numbers. Well, there's like a different ideas, but the main important thing is that sort of the observed mean of like some data, the more you collect, sort of bigger it is, the more it kind of converges to the true mean in a way.
Yeah, so
Like
the
distribution, but it means other things too. So.
I think the example they were talking about in that episode was
Flipping a coin.
no, well, I think that might be the most simplest one,
Yeah.
but this one I think it was at a fair, and they asked how much does this cow weigh. And obviously, if you ask 2 people, you may get 2 wildly different answers. But actually, they collected the
more
data
people you ask, yeah.
from a lot of people at the fair, and the more they asked, actually, the mean got closer to the actual
the
weight,
true means.
Right.
like the actual weight of the cow itself too, which in a sense is
Yeah.
the mean.
So that is
Yeah.
what they did the same thing with jelly beans in a jar at that documentary I was watching.
Yeah.
So the law of large numbers.
Is kind of related to it, yeah.
Yeah, that is the idea of that. Where when you flip a coin like 2 times, you get very little data, and it could be wildly off the actual mean, right?
Yeah.
So the more you flip the coin, like at a certain point, it's going to get closer to the mean.
Yeah.
Because you have more data, I guess.
Sort of. The underlying idea is that, well, it's actually pretty it's pretty beautiful. It's a very beautiful idea. But the idea is if you're measuring the average of something, the bigger set your average, or that doesn't even matter. The distribution of averages is always going to be like that bell curve shape. Yeah. And the bigger your number of things you count is that the skinnier the bell curve is going to become. But it's always going to be in that shape. So it's like a very important thing that's like the backbone of like a lot of statistics.
I'm sure they use that a lot in like polling, for example.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how,
and
like
sample sizes and how many people they need to
So it
poll.
basically provides like the justification for the methods.
Yeah.
Let's say like, oh, we can sort of do this because, you know, central limit theorem, et cetera, or whatever, this would happen. Cool. All right. So that was that question. And this one, goes to Ara. This might also be one of the kind of harder ones. So as you can see, like we're sort of ending like near maybe the end of the 19th century, a little bit into the 20th century, just because like afterwards 20th century math, it just gets too crazy and like people are just not going to be familiar with things. Like even me, like the math of like, you know, the later 20th century, I don't even fucking know what it is. But this is early 20th century and it's kind of interesting. Let's see if you guys can get this to Ara. A type of measurement first described by Roy Solomonoff and Andrei Kolmogorov in the 1960s, can be used to prove the impossibility results such as Cantor's diagonal argument, Gödel's incompleteness theorem, and Turing's halting problem. In the simplest understanding, it could be described as the length of the shortest computer program that produces the object as output, or generally as the measure of the computational resources needed to specify the object. This measurement is variously called Kolmogorov blank, algorithmic blank, Solomon-Kolmogorov chitin blank, program size blank, descriptive blank, or algorithmic entropy. What is the plain English word that fills in the blanks?
Read some of the blanks again.
Yeah, so
blank, and blank. So it's known as many things, but it shares this common word.
In the simplest understanding, it can be described as the length of the shortest computer program that produces the object as output, or generally as the measure of the computational resources needed to specify the object. This measurement is variously called Kolmogorov blank, algorithmic blank, Solomonoff-Kolmogorov Chaitin blank, program size blank, descriptive blank, or algorithmic entropy. And we're looking for the plain English word that fills in the blanks.
Or is the blanks, I guess.
Yeah. All right. This is getting really obscure. I'm gonna say the constant.
It's getting obscure now.
Constant.
Constant is incorrect. Naju, any ideas?
Variable.
Variable is incorrect.
I'll just say limit.
Limit is incorrect. So it is a plain English word, but I guess it was a pretty tough question. The word is complexity, or how complex something is.
Wow.
I know what complexity is, Mher. You fucking asshole.
Well, that's how it relates to the question, right? Something is more complex.
15 examples of complexity today.
It takes more resources to describe it. That's the idea.
Well, I thought those were great questions, Mher. I don't know how listenable it is, but...
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, maybe we just release this to the Patreon subscribers.
But math is definitely one of my least good, strong subjects.
Yeah.
All the answers I got, though, were on my number 3.
Yeah, that was good. Well, you know, in a way, like, I hope there was information that'll help you in Learn League for the math category.
I hope so, too. I doubt I'll remember it.
But, I mean, like, a lot of times, sorry, Bob was like, oh, yeah, I've heard of this. And then just, like, a bunch of things that were kind of peripherally, like, connected to the idea that weren't, like, exactly what the idea was.
Yeah, because I'm not good at this stuff. Like, it escapes my mind immediately.
I was hoping the word asymptote would come up at some point.
Oh, yeah. It came up in my research. The limit question, I was thinking of...
The infinitesimal one?
Yeah, I was thinking of forming it in different ways. But you got that question anyway, though.
Because at first I was thinking, the asymptote. And then when it got the 0 thing, I was like, okay, that's not.
Yeah.
Asymptote doesn't have to be 0.
Right, exactly.
I'm reading a high school U.S. history book because I'm tutoring a kid. And...
Nice.
I forgot how ridiculous.
Look who's on the cover.
Wait, who is it?
I don't know. It's Native American.
Native Americans.
people.
I just forgot how like kind of ridiculous high school textbooks were.
Is that a high school textbook nowadays?
It is, but dude, they
That's
they don't
like
have,
smaller and way more paperback than when we were in high school. I feel like
well, this is just
How do you get less paperback than that?
by being hardcover.
This is the one my boss happened to have. He doesn't even have a physical book, my student. It's all online.
Oh
It's pretty
wow,
crazy.
that's extremely paperback. See, Naju, that's how you can get even more paperback.
That's not paperback.
That's less paperback.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, that is.
It's
Yeah, less
infinitesimally
paper.
paper.
Yeah, I see. I take Ara's stance on
I
this.
guess, but there are only two directions. I don't know. Like, how paperback is it when you use like animal skins? Let's say, or like you carve it into a rock.
Animal
that's less-
Animal skins. I think is more paperback than hardcover.
Dude, if you
but
do
less
okay, if you
paperback
chisel
than
it-
paperback.
if you chisel into a stone, it's like super hard, so it's less paperback.
It is less. Yeah, that's less paperback than even hardcover.
Oh, but you're saying this is okay. I don't want to talk about this.
It's about the hardness of all the surfaces combined as an average or something.
Okay, so when it's online, it's completely not
It's
hard.
infinitely
It's infinitely soft.
It's infinitesimally hard, I'd say.
Can I bring something up unrelated? You can
yeah.
either cut this out,
Please.
cut it out, or
No,
put it in the
Ara,
beginning,
please.
whatever.
Is this the Bob Talk thing you had, or
Yeah, yeah.
additional
Well,
point that Ara wanted?
as
to
a-
make?
Ara talk? Why
well,
didn't you
no,
say
it just it's related. I just remembered in the middle of this. Actually, I was as a listener, I was listening to. I think it was the previous. It was either episode 2 or 3. I'm not sure.
2 episodes ago.
I think I know
and,
what you're going to talk about. Go.
What do you think I'm going to talk about? No. It's not that.
Ara's a ridiculous
No, we're not talking about that.
anti-helicopter.
Yeah, first of all, helicopters suck. And they're
That was a few episodes ago.
but this is different. I believe you folks were talking about gendered
Names,
names, gendered surnames. Is it surname last name?
Yeah, I think so.
In different cultures, and I texted Mher about this. I believe Greeks also have gendered surnames,
Which I don't know.
and I only
knew
knew
like Russian or Slavic and like Icelandic.
right, and I only knew that just because
Opolos.
I knew this girl in high school, and she was like the best Greek ambassador because she would just teach everyone things about. And she wasn't from Greece, but her family was Greek. But she was very into it in a good way, like not like
big,
in a
big
cool
fat
way.
Greek wedding, like a fun way. Huh?
Yeah. So then, like in the middle of high school, I remember she didn't change her last name, but like she dropped the S at the end of her last name, and I had asked why. And it's
I'm a girl.
yeah, well, the women, either as a wife or just as a daughter. This is the part I didn't research enough, but
Usually they're daughters, though.
yeah, sure. They drop the S at the end of their last name
I guess maybe
to
when they get
signify
married,
that they're like
take
a
it.
woman or something.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. I didn't know
yeah.
that. I actually don't even know if I know many Greek people.
Stephanopoulos. I'm going to be Stephanopoulos.
Yeah,
Like that?
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, Stephanopoli or they may change the last letter,
Onassis.
but they take the S off.
Onassis.
Were they
Oh.
that androgynous of people?
What?
Like people can't tell.
You can't tell.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know why other cultures did it in general, though. I don't know.
Yeah, the craziest
Maybe I
thing
guess
is,
if you're reading it.
what always trips me out is how prevalent gender is in language. Like, why? It's just crazy. Like, why would people's, like, early people just kind of inventing language, like, why would they even go there? Like, why
It's obvious,
genderize
though.
every...
It's because
dude.
like
It's
culture was like extremely like differentiated on culture.
Yeah, basis.
Oh,
It's the
no,
basis
I
of our
get that,
understanding.
but why, like, I don't know, put a gender on, like, a rock, for example?
Oh yeah, that stuff I don't
I don't
understand.
know, like that- that's what
like
I
yeah,
mean.
like rock is
No, it makes sense when it's directly related to people. Since
Yeah.
they have genders. No, I mean, like,
yeah. The
like
things
words
like a
themselves.
table is female, but a
Right.
pencil is male. I don't understand that.
Bridges are male, but I don't know, ladders are female.
Yeah, it would be kind of
Where did you
interesting
come
to
up
know
with
though.
that?
It might be just like they have a certain like phonology that just adopted that. Okay, the male words end with, like in French, there's somewhat of a pattern. Like the female words like have the ending e, so the consonants are pronounced and stuff. So it might be related to like just based on how it sounds.
Okay,
I
and
don't
then
know,
they just kind of use that as a differentiation.
They might have just like
gender.
called that gender.
Yeah.
Because other languages have like many sort of, I don't know how to even say it, like grammatical classifications
Right.
that aren't just two, that are many,
Right.
that act like gender does in like, you know, French or whatever. So it might be something like that. This is something I wanted to know, Ara, though. Like this girl was the Greek ambassador at your college.
Unofficially, yeah.
Not an official title.
yeah, unofficially. But were you like the Armenian ambassador of this group?
This
or?
was high school, so so for
there
sure
was a lot of
no.
Armenian ambassadors.
Yeah,
So-
he knew other 2,000 students that were Armenian.
They
Right.
needed an American ambassador.
Seriously. In college, though, no. I mean, ambassador, just as in
If
the
somebody
only
asked
Armenian
you,
in my group of friends. Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Were you the only Californian?
In college?
Yeah.
No.
No, a lot.
A lot from the East Coast, but definitely a good number from
Well, your fraternity
California.
was very international, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Well, California is part of the U.S., Bob.
Yeah, I've heard.
So it's national,
Okay.
international.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Bye.